Greetings, comrades. This is Andre Aguides Desjardins for a very untimely Dominaria Remastered Cracker Pack. I don't care that it's untimely. I'll do it for fun anyway. So, a few things about this format. If you were playing first, you were probably doing it wrong. You probably want to draw first. And first up is my favorite card, the card I always wanted to build a deck around and never got to. That's right, it's time for crabs. Horseshoe Crab. It's 2 and a blue for a 1/3, but for a blue mana you can untap Horseshoe Crab. So you put a Hermetic Study or Quicksilver Dagger on this thing and just start mowing people down, and it's probably my first pick for the funnest. Probably maybe not the best, but funnest common. Alright, next up is Sunclasp. It's 1 in the white for an enchant creature. It gets +1/+1, and for a white you get to return enchant creature to owner's hand. Unfortunately, everything enchanted on it doesn't come with it. There was supposed to be like a red-white enchantments deck. I never really saw it come together. Even with the limited removal, the enchantments, like the not great removal, the enchantments are a really high risk. So I would not look to draft it, but it's probably right one in some amount of times. Even then, this really isn't the card you want for it. I guess you could put it on the Angel and help get things back, but you're not looking to first pick this anyway. You're looking to like fall into the enchantment deck. Alright, Nightscape Familiar. Pauper's Superstar, black and a colorless for a 1/1. Blue and red spells cost 1 less to cast, and for 1 and a black we can regenerate it. Very good card. Just the 1/1 regenerator blocks forever. Really annoying to deal with. I mean, help make sure the thing's cheaper is fine, but not as busted and limited as it is in Constructed. But still a very good card. Alright, Psychon's Desire. It's 2 and a colors for enchantment aura, so I'm out. It better has some great cards. Enchant creature gets +2/+2. Nope. Threshold, as long as 7 more cards are in your graveyard. That's all threshold creatures. All creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. That actually helps bump it up a bit, because you can just put it on something and have it get through, like have the rest of your team get through, break board stalls. So that being said, it's like a really late game card. But I mean, they don't print this stuff. Everything has to block it if able very often because it's really good. But if I'm playing it for that effect. I'm not playing it for the 3 mana enchant creature gets +2/+2. That's just not good. Not even for old Magic that was good. It's pretty abysmal. But there are times where you will want the lure effect, as it's called. And yeah, you can do it, or you can even side it in if you want that. Next up, Goblin Medics. Goblins make great medics, I'm sure. Whenever it's red and 2. Whenever Goblin Medics becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to any target. It's a 1/1, so in theory it goes in the Goblins deck. I think it's actually a red-blue card with does a kind of Horseshoe Crab where you can put a Quicksilver Dagger on it and just find another way to tap it. In either deck, you're probably kind of happy to play it, but you're not thrilled to play it. Overall, I wouldn't look to first pick it. Alright, Mog War Marshal. Now, here's a good Goblin card. It's red and colorless for a 1/1. Echo of red and colorless. That means the upkeep, the turn after you pay have to pay its Echo cost or bury it. When it enters the battlefield or dies, create a 1/1 red Goblin token. So oftentimes you are not paying the Echo, though. If you have nothing to do on turn 3, you will pay the Echo. In consideration, where I draft the Goblin deck is highly contested after, so I never get to draft the Goblin deck. I always get to draft the blue cards, which means I get to make fun of people's Fact or Fiction piles, which is okay with me. Obsessive Search. It's a blue. It has draw a card. And for Madness, for blue, you can draw a card. This is perfectly meh. I mean, you can play it if you need another playable. You're probably not getting a lot of value from the Madness. I think Aquamoeba's the big Madness one. I never saw the blue-black Madness deck really fire on all cylinders, but it is hard to go wrong with 1 blue mana draw card instant speed, so it's fine, but I'd take the crab in blue before it. Orm's Thunder, love this art. 2 and a white with a kicker of red for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If it was kicked, it deals damage equal to that permanent's mana value to target creature. This reads a lot better than it plays. Like, for 4 mana, if you could destroy one of their enchantments and their a creature, it would be great, but that really doesn't happen very often. It's probably a sideboard like D. Like, I really need to know I could get some value of it to bring it in. And, yeah, I'm not near first picking this. Slippery Crest. It's a land, and as the battlefield taps for green, and cycling 2. And I pick these lands very highly. I would pick them under just any other mediocre playable. The cycling deck is a thing, but you don't need it for that. But just being able to get something out of your mana base in Limited is very important. Entering tapped doesn't hurt as much in Limited, especially in a non-hyper aggro format. So, yeah, this is good. I wouldn't be thrilled to first pick it. Like, I wouldn't want to first pick it. But if I'm in green and there's nothing else, I'm taking it. Alright, Storm Entity. It's red and colorless for haste, and it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other spell you cast this turn. So this is like the mid-tier payoff for the Storm deck. Like a 1/1 haste for 2 isn't that good. Then a 2/2 haste on like 3 with another spell's fine, but not great, and there's a lot of setup. Empty the Warrens is the payoff you want for the Storm deck. I mean, I would take it if I was already in the Storm deck and maybe try and get a big fella with my Empty the Warrens, but this isn't... You don't want to like sink your Storm count into this and then have it bounced or killed or something ridiculous. And I'm not looking to first pick this. Alright, Mishra's Factory. Speaking of lands that do things, taps for colorless, and for mana it becomes a 2/2 assembly worker until end of turn. It's still land, and you can tap it to give an assembly worker +1/+1 until end of turn. It's a great land. I recommend you play it if you're in a 2-color deck without too many 2-color pips. Like, you don't want to play in a 2-color deck with lots of 2-color pips, because you're going to screw up your mana base. Or if you're thinking of playing 18 lands, this is a great 18th land. Or if you're in a mainly monocolor low to the curve deck, this is great. Overall, I would recommend playing it, but if you have a bunch of 2-mana pips, it's probably not worth screwing over your mana base for. But most of these cards are 1-mana pips, so it's a very good card. Ooh, Confiscate. This is the control plan's way to win the game. 2 blue, 4 colorless. That's 6 mana, enchant permanent. You control enchant permanent, so you don't have to take good things. You steal their best thing. Though this would be still playable by today's standards, it'd be a lot worse, but this is very good in Dominaria United and the older formats. Though going back, Orm's Thunder is a beating to this card. So if your opponent plays this, which they should, and you have Orm's Thunder, slide Orm's Thunder in. But this is probably my first pick right now, because I like blue cards, and it helps your, like, just get your opponent. There's matchups you want to side it out, like the Empty the Warren Storm deck. Not good against, but I take it so far. Yay! Urza Lord High Artificer. Super stoked to open this card. Not going to be playing it, though. It's 2 blue, 2 colorless. Legendary creature, Human Artificer. It's originally from Modern Horizons 1, so it's powerful. When there's the battlefield, you create a 0/0 colorless construct token. That gets +1/+1 for each construct you control, or each artifact you control. And you can tap an untapped creature control to add a blue, and 5, you shuffle your library, you flip the top card. If it's an artifact, I believe, you can play that card without paying its mana cost. Or no, I guess it's just any card. There's not really an artifact deck in here, so he's not very good. Like, in trying to win, I would take the Confiscate over Urza Lord Artificer. That being said, you can 5 mana and shuffle alright. It's just he's very, very poor stats himself. The construct's maybe going to be a 2/2. So, not great for limited. Obviously, insanely for constructed. If you're at an F&M, you're of course taking this guy because he's worth dollar bills, yo. But for like winning first pick, I would choose that. Alright, we got a Duress. Good, I'll get to talk about this. This is important to me. Sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card. That player discards that card. Cards like this are very good in Constructed and not very good in Limited. I see people playing cards like this and Tormad's Crypt in their Limited decks, and you don't want to, especially Tormad's Crypt. There's like nothing in this pack you saw that had anything to do with the graveyard, so Tormad's Crypt literally does nothing. Something like Ornithopter by itself really does nothing, and if you, yes, you could put enchantments on it and it has flying, but you're probably going to win if you put enchantments on ground creatures and they live anyway. Duress isn't terrible to have like a 1-of main if you really have nothing else to play, but you don't want like 3 or 4 main. Sideboard, it's a perfectly acceptable sideboard card because there's going to be things with like, you know, Confiscate and Quicksilver Dagger you want to get rid of. But against decks like Goblins, even though the Goblin enchantment is good, it's probably not worth running Duress for. And then if you ever top deck it late, where you're in a top deck war, it just is stone nothing. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize about cards like this, is when you top deck it late, it's literally stone nothing. And that has a huge cost in your deck. And then we have what? A Forest and a Goblin token. Love that Goblin token. Yeah, so sweet pack. I take Confiscate. Stoked I open Urza Lord High Artificer. That is it for Andre Aguides Desjardins. Have a good day, comrades.